I never thought I'd be telling this story. My name is Zara, and what I'm about to share shook my world to its core. It all started with a simple Instagram message. "What's your favorite song?" That's how Thaddeus entered my life. We were in the same college class, but I barely noticed him then. Little did I know, that message was the beginning of a whirlwind romance that would lead to marriage, a child, and eventually, heartbreak. Thaddeus was charming, attentive, and seemed perfect. We fell in love quickly, and I thought I had found my soulmate. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. The first cracks appeared when I discovered Thaddeus's porn addiction. He promised to stop, swore he'd change. I believed him because I wanted to, needed to. But the lies kept piling up. Fast forward to May 2024. My sister's graduation day, a day that should have been filled with joy, turned into a nightmare. I caught Thaddeus in the bathroom, phone in hand, watching something he shouldn't. My heart raced as I grabbed his phone, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through endless inappropriate content. But nothing could have prepared me for what came next. Hidden in the depths of his digital life was an OnlyFans account. Not just any account, but one belonging to his former coworker. The same woman he'd sworn meant nothing to him. In that moment, everything unraveled. Years of gaslighting, lies, and betrayal came crashing down around me. The OnlyFans discovery wasn't just another transgression. It was the key that unlocked the truth about our entire relationship. As I stand here now, I'm not the same woman who fell for that "what's your favorite song" line. I'm stronger, wiser, and ready to share my story. Because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. This is my truth. This is how my husband's secret OnlyFans habit revealed everything and changed my life forever. Thaddeus's Instagram message wasn't just sent to me. I later found out he had cast a wide net, sending the same "what's your favorite song" to countless girls. At the time, though, it felt special, like fate. Our relationship moved quickly. Thaddeus was attentive, always texting, always wanting to spend time together. I mistook his intensity for passion, not realizing it was masking a deeper emptiness. The first red flag appeared just weeks into our relationship. I noticed Thaddeus constantly checking his phone, his eyes darting to the screen whenever he thought I wasn't looking. When I asked about it, he brushed it off, saying it was work-related. I believed him because I wanted to. As we got more serious, I learned about Aliyah, his longtime friend. The way Thaddeus talked about her made me uneasy, but he assured me they were just friends. Yet, I'd catch him searching for her social media profiles late at night, his face illuminated by the blue glow of his phone screen. We got married after 2 years of dating. I thought it would be a fresh start, that any lingering doubts would disappear. Instead, they only grew stronger. Thaddeus's phone became a constant source of tension. He guarded it fiercely, never leaving it unattended. One night, about 6 months into our marriage, I woke up to find Thaddeus's side of the bed empty. I found him in the living room, hastily closing his laptop as I entered. The guilt on his face was unmistakable. That was the first time I confronted him about his porn use. He promised it was a one-time thing, that it would never happen again. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But as the months went by, the pattern repeated itself. Promises made, promises broken. Each time, Thaddeus would swear it was the last time, that he'd change. And each time, I found myself wondering if I was the problem. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a long, painful journey that would ultimately lead to the shocking OnlyFans discovery that changed everything. The first years of our marriage were a roller coaster. Thaddeus's porn addiction became impossible to ignore. I'd find browser histories hastily cleared, suspicious apps on his phone that would disappear when I mentioned them. Each discovery felt like a punch to the gut. When I confronted Thaddeus, he'd turn the tables on me. "You're being paranoid," he'd say, or "Why are you so insecure?" His words made me doubt myself. Was I overreacting? Was this normal in marriages? Then came the incident with his coworker, Lyra. I noticed Thaddeus texting her frequently, often with a smile on his face he rarely showed me anymore. When I expressed my concerns, he accused me of being controlling. "She's just a friend from work," he insisted. But my gut told me otherwise. One night, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. While Thaddeus was in the shower, I checked his phone. My hands shook as I found deleted messages between him and Lyra. What I saw confirmed my worst fears: flirtatious exchanges, inside jokes, plans to meet up outside of work. When I confronted Thaddeus, he didn't deny it. Instead, he turned it around on me. "If you trusted me, you wouldn't have gone through my phone," he said, his voice cold. I felt my world crumbling. The breaking point came after I gave birth to our daughter, Aria. Thaddeus had agreed to abstain from porn during my 6-week recovery period. It was a boundary we'd set together, one he swore he'd respect. But one night, with Aria finally asleep, I walked in on Thaddeus hunched over his laptop. The images on the screen made my heart sink. When he saw me, he quickly slammed the laptop shut, but it was too late. "I couldn't help it," he slurred, the smell of alcohol on his breath. "I have needs." In that moment, something in me snapped. I realized that no matter how many chances I gave him, no matter how many promises he made, nothing would change. The man I thought I married, the father of my child, was a stranger to me. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. The OnlyFans discovery that would shatter everything was just around the corner. As I stood there, staring at Thaddeus with our baby girl sleeping in the next room, I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and exhaustion wash over me. I told him firmly, "This is it. If you break my trust again, we're done. I can't live like this anymore." Thaddeus, sobered by my ultimatum, promised once more to change. He swore he'd seek help, that he'd be the husband and father we deserved. I wanted to believe him, but the spark of hope inside me had dimmed to barely a flicker. Months passed, and on the surface things seemed better. Thaddeus was more present, more attentive. He'd come home from work on time, help with Aria, and even suggested date nights. I started to think maybe, just maybe, we had turned a corner. Then came my sister's graduation in May 2024. It was a day filled with joy and celebration. Aria, now 2, charmed everyone with her toddler antics. For a moment, I felt like we were a normal, happy family. After the ceremony, we returned home, buzzing with the day's excitement. I put Aria to bed, then went to find Thaddeus to show him a family photo I'd edited. He'd been in the bathroom for a while, which wasn't unusual, but something felt off. I knocked softly and opened the door. The scene that greeted me is forever etched in my memory. Thaddeus, startled by my entrance, fumbled with his phone. But I saw enough, a flash of a scantily clad woman on his screen before he could close the app. "It's not what you think," he stammered, but I'd heard those words too many times before. With shaking hands, I took his phone. As I scrolled through, my world collapsed around me. Snapchat messages, TikTok videos, and then an OnlyFans account. Not just any account, but one belonging to Lyra, his former coworker. The truth hit me like a tidal wave. All the promises, all the supposed changes, they were lies. Thaddeus hadn't stopped, he'd just gotten better at hiding it. As tears streamed down my face, I realized this moment wasn't just about another broken promise. It was the key that unlocked the truth about our entire relationship. Every doubt, every suspicion I'd pushed aside came rushing back. In that bathroom, with Thaddeus's secret laid bare, I knew our marriage was over. But more importantly, I knew I deserved better. The journey ahead would be hard, but for the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of hope. Not for us, but for myself and Aria. This was the moment everything changed. This was when my husband's secret OnlyFans habit revealed everything and set me free. As the reality of Thaddeus's betrayal sank in, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. It was as if all the pieces of a puzzle I'd been struggling with for years finally clicked into place. I looked at Thaddeus, still fumbling for excuses, and realized I didn't even want to hear them anymore. "I need you to leave," I said, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. He tried to argue, to explain, but I stood firm. For the first time in our relationship, I felt in control. I told him to pack a bag and stay with a friend. We'd figure out the details later, but for now, I needed space to think. After Thaddeus left, I sat in our living room, surrounded by photos of what I thought was a happy family. Each image now felt like a lie. I allowed myself to cry, to feel the full weight of the betrayal and the years of gaslighting and manipulation. But as the night wore on, something unexpected happened. Amid the pain, I felt a spark of excitement. For the first time in years, I could envision a future that wasn't tied to Thaddeus's lies and broken promises. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I consulted a lawyer, started therapy, and leaned on friends and family for support. It wasn't easy. There were days when the weight of single parenthood and the end of my marriage felt overwhelming. But slowly, I started to rediscover myself. I remembered the woman I was before Thaddeus, strong, independent, full of dreams. I began to pour energy into myself instead of trying to fix a broken relationship. As I worked through my emotions, I also grappled with a difficult question. Had Thaddeus ever truly loved me? Looking back, I realized that his behavior from the very beginning, the mass Instagram messages, the lingering feelings for his friend, the constant betrayals, pointed to a man who was more interested in filling a void than building a genuine connection. It was a painful realization, but also a liberating one. I understood that the failure of our marriage wasn't my fault. I had given my all to someone who wasn't capable of reciprocating. Now, as I stand on the brink of a new chapter in my life, I feel a mix of emotions. There's sadness for the years lost, anxiety about the future, but most of all, there's hope. Hope for myself, hope for Arya, hope for a life filled with genuine love and respect. Thaddeus's secret OnlyFans habit didn't just reveal his infidelity, it revealed my own strength. It showed me that I deserved more, that I could demand more, and now I'm ready to build a new life on my own terms. This isn't the end of my story, it's just the beginning. As weeks turned into months, I found myself settling into a new rhythm. Life as a single mother wasn't easy, but it was infinitely more peaceful than the constant anxiety of wondering what Thaddeus was hiding. Arya, my beautiful little girl, became my anchor. Her innocence and joy reminded me daily why I had made the right choice. Watching her grow and thrive gave me strength on even the toughest days. I threw myself into therapy, unpacking years of emotional manipulation and rebuilding my self-esteem. It was hard work, facing the ways I had allowed myself to be diminished, but with each session I felt stronger. Thaddeus, for his part, cycled through phases. Sometimes he'd beg for another chance, promising he'd changed. Other times he'd lash out, blaming me for breaking up our family. His reactions only confirmed that I'd made the right decision. As our divorce proceedings began, I uncovered even more secrets. Financial records revealed hidden accounts, more subscriptions to adult content sites. Each discovery hurt, but no longer shook me to my core. Instead, they reinforced my resolve. 6 months after that fateful night, I stood in front of the mirror and barely recognized myself. Gone was the constantly worried, self-doubting woman I'd become. In her place stood someone stronger, more confident, with a spark in her eyes that had been missing for years. I started reconnecting with old friends, pursued hobbies I'd abandoned, and even considered going back to school. The future, once clouded by Thaddeus's lies, now seemed bright with possibilities. Of course, there were still challenges. Co-parenting with Thaddeus was a minefield of old hurts and new boundaries. But for Arya's sake, I learned to navigate it with grace and firmness. As I approached the 1-year mark of my new life, I realized that Thaddeus's OnlyFans secret didn't just reveal his infidelity. It revealed my resilience, my worth, and my capacity for growth. What once felt like an ending has become a beginning. I'm sharing my story not for sympathy, but as a beacon for others who might be trapped in a web of lies and self-doubt. Trust your instincts, demand respect, and know that on the other side of heartbreak, there can be healing and hope. My journey isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning. But now I'm writing my own story, one day at a time. And for the first time in years, I'm excited to see how it unfolds. As I settled into my new life, I began to notice small but significant changes. The constant knot of anxiety in my stomach had disappeared. I slept better, laughed more easily, and found joy in simple things I had overlooked for years. One sunny afternoon, while playing with Arya in the park, I had a revelation. I watched her fearlessly climb the jungle gym, her face beaming with pride at each new height she reached. It struck me that I wanted to be that fearless, to approach life with that same unbridled enthusiasm. Inspired, I started taking more risks. I applied for a promotion at work I previously thought was out of my league. To my surprise, I got it. The confidence boost was immeasurable. I was rediscovering my capabilities, free from the shadow of Thaddeus's manipulations. My social life blossomed too. I reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I joined a support group for divorced parents, finding solace and strength in shared experiences. For the first time in years, I felt truly seen and understood. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were still nights when the loneliness felt overwhelming, when I questioned my decisions. But these moments became fewer and farther between. I learned to sit with my discomfort, to understand it was part of the healing process. Thaddeus remained a complicated presence in my life, due to co-parenting Arya. His behavior continued to be erratic, sometimes cooperative, other times antagonistic. But I had developed tools to maintain boundaries and protect my peace. His actions no longer had the power to derail my life. As the second year of my new life approached, I felt ready to consider dating again. The thought was both exciting and terrifying, but I knew I was entering this phase with clear eyes and a strong sense of self-worth. I was no longer the naive girl who fell for a simple Instagram message. Looking back, I realized that Thaddeus's OnlyFans secret was just the final piece of a puzzle I had been solving for years. It wasn't the cause of our marriage's end, but rather the catalyst that forced me to face the truth I had long suspected. Today, as I write this, I'm filled with gratitude. Not for what happened, but for what it taught me. I learned the value of self-respect, the importance of trusting my instincts, and the strength that comes from facing hard truths. To anyone out there who recognizes their own story in mine, know this: you are stronger than you think. The road ahead may be difficult, but it leads to a place of authenticity and self-love that is worth every step. My story isn't about the betrayal I endured, but about the woman I became in its aftermath. It's a testament to resilience, to the human capacity for growth and renewal. And while I don't know what the future holds, I face it with hope, strength, and an unwavering belief in my own worth. This is not just the end of my story, it's the beginning of a new chapter. And I can't wait to see what comes next. As I wrap up my story, I can't help but feel a mix of emotions. This journey has been painful, eye-opening, and ultimately empowering. Sharing it with you hasn't been easy, but I hope it serves a purpose beyond my own healing. To those of you watching who might see echoes of your own life in my story, I want you to know, you're not alone. Trust your instincts. If something feels off in your relationship, don't ignore that feeling. You deserve honesty, respect, and genuine love. Remember, it's never too late to reclaim your life and your happiness. The path might be difficult, but I promise you, it's worth it. You have strength within you that you might not even realize yet. For those supporting loved ones through similar situations, your role is crucial. Listen without judgment, offer support without pressure, and be patient. Recovery and healing take time. I started this channel to create a community where we can share our stories, support each other, and grow together. If my story has resonated with you, I invite you to be part of this journey. Subscribe to this channel for more stories of resilience and recovery. In future videos, we'll dive deeper into topics like recognizing red flags, rebuilding self-esteem, and navigating life after betrayal. I'll also be bringing in experts to provide professional insights and advice. Share this video if you think it could help someone else. Your share could be the lifeline someone desperately needs. Lastly, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts or your own experiences. Let's create a supportive community where no one has to feel alone in their struggles. Remember, your story isn't over. Like mine, it's just beginning a new chapter. Let's write these new chapters together, with courage, hope, and self-love. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.